Thank you, Whittaker. Let me do some housekeeping here. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Columbus, Georgia. If things seem a little bit herky-jerky and discombobulated this morning, I'm the Lone Ranger of technology and leading the service, so bear with me. We are an inclusive community, really kind of an extended family of people who have chosen to join together to support each other in our own unique and personal searches for truth and meaning. And what we mean by that is our responsible searches for truth and meaning based on the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism, which are not rocket science and they're really not very radical. In fact, just about all the 7 principles, most major religions subscribe to some of them in some way or another. And we'll talk about those in a minute. But the bedrock ideas of our fellowship are love and kindness, and the assertion that actions speak louder than theology. Deeds, not creeds. This is a historic Sunday for our fellowship because this might be the final Zoom-only service of the great COVID-19 pandemic. Knock on wood. Next week, we return in person, live, indoors to Grace Fellowship Hall for a service that will be led by Hal Majette, our president. The speakers will be John Comiskey, longtime member, and Barry White, a former longtime member who now lives in North Carolina. And they're going to talk about The Mountain, which is a Unitarian retreat and learning center near Highlands, North Carolina, and it really does sit on a mountaintop. It's something we can all take advantage of. Ellen and I have been there a couple times, and it's really a tremendous place. And by the way, Whittaker, I'm going to give you credit, Whittaker, for knowing this, but even if you didn't. But the hymn he just played is really appropriate both for today and for next week, because that hymn, number 1000, we have a couple hymnals. In this hymnal, Singing the Journey, is hymn number 1000 is the first hymn in this hymnal, and its title is Morning Has Come, and it's lyrics and tune by Jason Shelton, who is kind of a big deal among Unitarian Universalist musicians, and he composed it in 2001 during a UU music conference at the Mountain. He composed it there, and then it was first performed in the chapel. There's a little bit of a legend that goes with this, that it had been rainy all week and kind of cold and miserable, as it sometimes is in the mountains. And as he was playing this, the sun broke through and shone through the windows of the chapel. So there you have it, a UU miracle. If you'll notice, it was kind of a complicated little tune. Whittaker can play something in 12/8 time with triplets. It escapes me. But its message is simple. Wake up. And that's kind of the theme of today's service. A little bit more about opening up next Sunday. The board made this decision to do this before the CDC announced its new regulations, or new guidelines, I should say, which include the advice that people who are vaccinated can come together without masks and without social distancing in most circumstances. So the board is going to meet this week. I think that's on Wednesday. Brenda can correct me later if I'm wrong. But they're going to determine exactly what kind of special measures will take place during next Sunday's service. But whatever they are, it's a chance to return to Grace Fellowship Hall, hear Whittaker play our grand piano live for the first time in a long time, and hear a great program. So watch your email if you're a member or a friend, or log on or go to our website or our Facebook page or our Facebook group for more details. And in another announcement, the Wednesday night discussion group, which met in Grace Fellowship Hall last Wednesday, I was there for just the start of it, but it looked like it was a pretty big success. It's also on, they were also on Zoom. So they're going to do that again this coming week. That's at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. Guests are welcome. So let's dive in. We begin our services by lighting the chalice. The flaming chalice symbolizes for us reason, tolerance, and freedom, and also justice, compassion, and love. Maybe it's time to retire the desktop chalice. Now it's time to affirm our 7 principles, and I'm going to read them from our handy bookmark. These are great. I love them, and you can pick them up next Sunday in person. So, number 1, the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Number 2, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Number 3, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. 4, a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. 5, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. 6, the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. And 7, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. And now it's time for joys and concerns. One of the ways we proclaim the vitality of our fellowship is through sharing brief, personal joys and concerns. This is not a time for politics. It's not a time for announcements. It's not a time for commercials. Rather, it's a time to share what's important in our own lives. And I'll start by lighting a candle for those concerns that you may not be willing to share in public. I'll also remind you that we are taping this service so we can put it on YouTube, but we do not put joys and concerns on YouTube. If maybe Brenda, or let me go to my gallery view here. This is one of the things that it's a little harder to do. So if anybody can figure out how to raise their hand digitally, are there any joys and concerns out there? Whittaker. Whittaker does have a legitimate joy. Have at it.
Last time I was with you guys, which was 2 weeks ago, I shared a joy / concern about an upcoming audition for the Artist Diploma program for piano at the Schwab School of Music. That audition took place the other day. It went well enough, and I'm being offered the assistantship as an accompanist / graduate assistant. So joy all around.
Yay, Whittaker!
Thank you, everyone, for your support. It's helped more than you know. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
That's great news, Whittaker. Now it's time for our celebration of life toast. written by our very own Ed Wilson, who is on the call. The Celebration of Life toast, which is unique to our fellowship, carries no doctrinal significance. It's not a sacrament, just a warm tradition. We invite you to share it with us. Please lift your cups if you have one available. And I'm going to read the toast, and we can all join in together on the last line. We celebrate life with its beauty and its pain. We lift these cups in tribute to the achievements of human minds and hands, and in sensitivity to the frustrations of misfortune and heartache, not fixing blame or credit for the outcome of chance, sensing the risk, savoring the joy, sharing it all, knowing of the certainty of death, and remembering the value of each moment. We drink our toast of celebration to this time, to the future, to each other, to the throbbing of the earth and sea and sky with life. Together, we drink this toast in celebration of life. Now it's time for this morning's offering, which, as always, will be given and received in grateful fellowship. And it really is received in grateful fellowship because Ron Usry, our treasurer, and Hal Majet have done a great job of keeping us in black for more than a year during the pandemic. But we've taken some hits, and expenses are down, but when we don't gather together in person, the inflow of love and gratitude sometimes dwindles a little bit. So thank you very much for your support. You can mail offerings at UUFC to UUFC at Box 698, Fortson, Georgia 31808. Or you can use PayPal, and when you get to PayPal, hit the send money button and then just use our email address, uufcga@gmail.com. And this is also a reminder that this month's giveaway, the plate, which we're accepting donations all month, is for the mountain. And that's the retreat center that we'll be talking about next week. We also continue to support the Homeless Resource Network, Feeding the Valley Food Bank, and Pasamigos, which helps immigrants, who have been recently released from detention south of Columbus. You can donate to any of those organizations through PayPal or mailing them to us, and we'll donate in the fellowship's name, or you can contact them directly. So while you look for your checkbooks or log into PayPal, we're going to have some music from Whittaker, and I am going to find Whittaker, who has disappeared into the Zoomosphere. Whittaker, there you are, and you're going to put on your headphone and introduce.
I can hear you from a distance.
Okay.
Through them. Am I good to go?
You're good to go.
Okay, great. Well, guys, in light of my recent audition, I wanted to play for you this morning the only thing on that audition that I haven't played for you guys at this point, which is the sight reading excerpt from the audition, which was given to me in the audition, and I play on the spot. So I did a little research, digging through hundreds of pages of Haydn sonatas to find the excerpt so I could practice it and perform it for you this morning. It comes from a set of unmarked Haydn sonatas, number 25 of 34. No opus number, but it's a beautiful little theme and variations. I'm going to play for you the theme and then the very last variation of it. It's marked Andante con espressione.
Now it's time to move into our reading and our speaker. And first will come Danielle Neale, who, lo these many weeks and months, has been coming to us remotely from Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and other parts in the Northeast with readings. And she's come through once again with a reading from Thich Nhat Hanh, a Buddhist monk, known to most of you, I think. He's a monk and an author. He's an advocate for peace and for something he calls deep ecology. And I think this will be a good intro into Joanie's talk, if I can call it up. So bear with me. Let's see how this goes.
Thank you for joining me today. In the spirit of mindfulness, I would like to share a quote by Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh. Suppose you are drinking a cup of tea. When you hold the cup, you may like to breathe in, to bring your mind back to your body, and you become fully present. You must be completely awake in the present to enjoy the tea. Only in the awareness of the present can your hands feel the pleasant warmth of the cup. Only in the present can you savor the aroma, taste the sweetness, appreciate the delicacy. If you are ruminating about the past or worrying about the future, you will completely miss the experience of enjoying the cup of tea. You will look down at the cup and the tea will be gone. Life is like that. If you're not fully present, you will look around and it will be gone. You will have missed the feel, the aroma, the delicacy, and beauty of life. It will seem to be speeding past you. The past is finished. Learn to let it go. The future is not even here yet. Plan for it, but do not waste your time worrying about it. Worrying is worthless. When you stop ruminating about what has already happened, when you stop worrying about what might never happen, then you will be in the present moment. Then you will begin to enjoy the joy in life. I hope you all enjoy life today and be a little more mindful of your present. Have a great day.
Joanie Andras has become a much sought after teacher of mindfulness and various subjects related to Buddhism. She began studying mindfulness, meditation, and Buddhism in 1984. She earned a doctorate in psychology in 1993, and in 2005 she was ordained as a Buddhist nun. She's going to talk to us about mindfulness and a very specific mindfulness technique. And I guess I should ask everybody, could everybody actually hear that reading? I hear people nodding. Okay. It's another Unitarian miracle. Let me see if I can pull another one up. Joanie Andras.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for letting me share my passion with you today. I'm delighted to be here. I'd like to begin by sharing a little bit of my spiritual journey. And it was really quite simple in a way. I just wanted to be happy and stop having so much emotional pain. It started with a heart-wrenching divorce after 25 years of marriage. And I just wanted to stop feeling what I was feeling. And that eventually led me to recognizing that emotional pain, dissatisfaction, and inner turmoil are very much a part of life and relationships. The first big, B-I-G, big recognition was that I was responsible for how I felt, how I was reacting. Outside circumstances can certainly cause inner discomfort. At the same time, I began to see more clearly that the way I worked with external circumstances was what was important. So I got it. I had to take responsibility. I had to take responsibility for what was happening in my mind and for how I was reacting. And I have to say, when I really got this, and I was 50 years old when I got this, I was not a happy camper. I just did not like that I was fully responsible. So what came next was, how do you change your mind? How do you work with your mind? How do you do that? And of course, now many of you know the outcome of that inquiry, and that's my passion with mindfulness and mindfulness training. So what's happening in my body, in my mind, my speech? How is it that I am in this world, relating to the world and relating to myself? It's so simple. Mindfulness is so simple. The intention to pay attention. That's it. The intention to pay attention. Really, it's just that simple. Over and over, to get out of our habitual tendencies and come back to what will work in a more skillful way, to bring our mind back to the present. So the internet is overflowing with mindfulness training, right? I mean, you can get it on your iPhone. Today, I want to share with you a very simple mindfulness practice, and that will help bring you into the present moment. So because you are at home, I would like you to get really comfortable. You're watching this either on Zoom or YouTube, and if you're in a recliner, recline. If you want to lay down, lay down. Just be very, very comfortable. Okay, so this exercise or practice, in Buddhism we call it a practice, brings our attention to our five senses. Seeing, body sensation, hearing, smelling, and tasting. So this is it. We begin by getting comfortable. So as I said, if you're in a recliner, recline. If you want to lay down, it's always good to do practice sitting up with a straight spine. That's really the best way to do it. But right now, let's just do it in the most relaxed way. If you want to sit up, spine straight, 2 feet on the floor. So we're going to start with getting comfortable and then breathing naturally. We're going to breathe naturally. So we're going to start with seeing, with vision. Look around your room and notice 5 objects. Now, take your time with each one. You might notice color, size, or shape. Whatever you notice is perfect, but take your time. 5 objects in your visual field. Okay, next we're going to turn our attention to our body, noticing 4 body sensations. Again, take the time to investigate. 4 places in your body that are calling attention. You might note for yourself if the sensation is pleasant or unpleasant. You might note if this is a bit challenging for you. Is there some resistance to doing the practice? Remember, whatever you're experiencing is perfect. It is what you are experiencing, and try not to judge. Just do the exercise. 4 body sensations. Okay. Next, we're going to turn attention to hearing. Now, the instructions are to listen for 3 distinct sounds. And I noticed that this was hard for me to do at home because my house is very, very quiet. So the only thing I could hear was the refrigerator and the ringing in my ear. But out here, there's so much to hear, so it's much easier. So if it's difficult, don't be surprised. So now we're going to turn our attention to 3 sounds, noticing 3 sounds. Okay. And now smelling. 2 smells. You may be, if you have coffee, pick up your coffee mug and smell the coffee. Or you can use your imagination. And it's okay to have your eyes either open or closed, however you want to do the exercises. So you can even smell your clothing if you want to. So 2 smells. Okay, now if you notice that your mind was distracted, that's good. When you notice the distraction, that's mindfulness. Noticing it is mindfulness. And then you have a choice whether you want to come back or not. So the very last one is smelling. 1 smell. I'm sorry, taste. Taste. The last one is taste. So 1 taste. So we can, again, you can use your coffee if you have coffee or juice or whatever. Or you can imagine, use your imagination, curiosity, imagination. And give it a moment to actually taste the taste. Okay. Now that's pretty easy exercise, right? So how was that for you? You know, this is a little frustrating because you can't tell me, right? But I want to invite you to email me or call me if you want to talk about any of this. I love to talk about this stuff. So did your mind drift off during the exercise? You know, that's really very normal. Very, very normal. This is exactly why all of these exercises are called mindfulness practice. We are practicing. We are learning how to be mindful because we have lived our whole life. And many years you're alive, you have lived on robot. Now, dear ones, we are retraining our minds. We're retraining our minds. We're all building a new habit. You know, you all have experienced learning a new skill. Riding a bike. You might remember learning how to ride a bike as a child. Certainly those of us that in the later years of life remember learning how to use their iPhone. You know, that's a new skill. Learning how to use a computer. Learning how to write. You know, I still could remember in school learning cursive writing and the paper that we had, you know, and the pens that dipped into the inkwell. I'm sorry, I'm aging myself. But we did. I can remember that very vividly. It was very clear to me. So, you know, so we all have learned so many new and creative and wonderful things in our lives. So why not mindfulness? Truly it can change your life. Truly it can. This 5-sense mindfulness practice was taught to me by my granddaughter Tiffany, who many of you know. And Tiffany has been teaching some large corporate groups, and she teaches this as a method to reduce anxiety. Interesting, right? Like, she suggests that during the day, if you feel your anxiety rising in your body, to just take a moment and do the 5 sense exercise. So I have been doing it for a couple of days now in preparation for this talk, and it's very interesting how sometimes my mind can be so much more focused, and to do it without any difficulty. And the other day I was at physical rehabilitation, and I was sitting with the ice and the heat, you know, and I tried to do it. But I guess there was more anxiety there than I realized because I kept getting distracted. Of course, there were people and all that, but it was interesting to me that I could not hold the concentration. Like, I got to maybe the third one and I lost it. So it was good learning for me. This has always been a good learning for me. And I'd like to finish the talk by saying a little bit about how mindfulness relates to the 7 principles. I don't see how I guess how I want to say this is, I don't think we all realize how much we already use mindfulness without saying to ourselves, oh, this is mindfulness. Because think about the principles. Having a sense of the inherent worth and dignity of every person. So if you at any time notice that you're not in that space, when you notice that, you're in a moment of mindfulness. That noticing is mindfulness. Every one of them: justice, equity, compassion in human relations. I was watching the head prosecutor in the Chauvin case, and he was asked a question about wanting to, you know, see this man really punished or something like that. And he said, I always recognize the humanity. And I thought to myself, this man has compassion. Even though that's his job, he has compassion. And I was very touched by that. So acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. In this instance, I would say, look at our intrinsic biases. Mindfulness helps us to recognize our own biases, our own maybe woundedness from a childhood religion which has stayed with us and influences some of our thinking, you know, around that. But mindfulness brings us a greater clarity of what's happening here, up here, or in the heart. So a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. I mean, this is the big one with mindfulness, right? I mean, every one of these, that's why I said it just hits every one of the 7 principles. The right of consciousness, even in the democratic process. What are your political opinions? What are they based on? Where did they come from? How much are you willing to listen to another person? It's all mindfulness in a way. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. You know, are you an activist? Are you okay with that? Are you not an activist? Are you okay with that? Just being aware of what your position is on these things in life. And respect for the interdependent web of all existence. So where are we on climate control? Where are we, you know, in our own recycling process? Just so many, mindfulness touches every part of our lives. Every part of our lives. And it's not difficult. We are already naturally mindful. We simply get distracted. And mindfulness practice just helps us to be more mindful rather than be more distracted. So I've just had a lot of fun sharing this with you, and thank you for letting me do that. And like I said, if you want to call me or email me, thank you.
Well, thank you, Joanie. I have had an unfair head start because we videotaped this. Let's see, I'm unmuted. We videotaped this last week, and so I've been practicing this for about a week, and really I have to say it's kind of magical. So thank you so much. This is a reminder that we're going to stay on after Whittaker plays the final hymn, and we'll stay on for an unrecorded. I don't know if it'll be so much Q&A about our speakers. They're both remote, and I'm not sure who's able to join us on Zoom. Tiffany's here, though. So please do stay after the final hymn. For now, we extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. Now for our closing words, and you can rise in body or spirit. With unity of spirit, we go our ways in universal fellowship until we meet again. And now Whittaker will play us home with, again, from the Teal book, and this one is 1052, and he's chosen another of really the major pillars of UU music, this one by Jim Scott, The Oneness of Everything. So Whittaker, as soon as I find you,